So you're thinking about getting yourself a new commuter. Your friend who spends far too much time on the internet watching Gary's Project, Toasty Rides, Monkey Shred, perhaps me, says you should get a retro bike. Not only that, he's pretty convinced you should get a 26-inch mountain bike. I think he's correct, but let me try and tell you why. This is my 26-inch mountain bike. It's a Rally Moon Run. I actually built it up in a video maybe 2 weeks ago, so if you want to go check that out, there's a link there. It's on the screen somewhere, I imagine, definitely in the description. Look at this dirty great big crane in my way. Every Sunday there's something in the way. It's got 26-inch wheels, lovely wide handlebars, absolutely stunning rack, and a 22-inch frame. I do quite a lot of build videos, so if that is your thing, do feel free to subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free, it helps me an absolute bunch, and I give you weekly content. It's a pretty good deal, pretty good deal. I'm definitely not going to be that guy who goes, well, you save yourself some money, you upcycle an old mountain bike. This is like a bloody drug. As soon as you start retrofitting modern old mountain bikes, you're going to be addicted to it. You're going to keep wanting to do it. You're going to start buying more and more expensive parts, and you won't be able to stop.
I'm not gonna lie, I was getting quite excited when I was recording this intro. I'm extremely passionate about these old bikes, and I'm extremely passionate about my 26-inch mountain bikes. And I kind of want to make this video to kind of break it down a little bit. I get asked lots and lots of questions on what should you do, what shouldn't you do, and it's very hard to kind of like narrow that down. And I do want to start making more videos on the individual parts like I have been. For example, the one on the basket that's on this bike that we talked about is linked here. Probably a link there, isn't it? It's above me somewhere. I've kind of made this video in the past where I've kind of answered the why to the 26-inch and why to the mountain bike commuters, but I kind of wanted to make it a bit more refreshed. I've built a lot of bikes this year, and since I've been doing this, I've been building in a lot of bikes, and I've learned a lot, if I'm really honest, and I wanted to kind of share a little bit, or try to break it down a little bit more of why. So let's look at number one. So number one, and potentially the most important one, is they're comfortable. Back in the great I'm gonna buy a bike and commute to work siege of COVID-19, a lot of people I know who are buying bikes at that time for the first time, or the first time in many years, were going, well, I'll be commuting on the road, so I should buy a road bike, shouldn't I? And they'd buy these aggressive, sometimes carbon, drop handlebar bikes, and then they wondered why their back was hurting and they were really uncomfortable and they didn't want to ride them anymore. Nearly all of them aren't riding them anymore. And the simple reason being is the fact they weren't very comfortable. It was the first time they've ridden properly in a long time, potentially ever, and they weren't quite ready for that. I said to many people who asked me my opinions, and I always said, get a hybrid or an old bike. No one listened to me. Please listen to me. The reason they're comfortable nearly all the time is due to the geometry and the wheels. The geometry on most mountain bikes is going to be a lot more relaxed than a road bike. Most of them have that more kind of drop bar on the top, so you have a little bit easier to kind of get on and off the bike, but also brings the bike closer to you and makes it a little bit more comfortable to ride. Then you've got the wheels themselves. 26-inch wheels aren't comfortable because they're 26-inch. They're comfortable generally because they come on a mountain bike and you can fit wider tyres. If you're riding around the streets of London in particular on little skinnies like that, you're gonna feel the road, you're gonna feel it hard. if you're riding around on some nice 26-inch wheels with 2.1s up to 2.3, 2.5s maybe, it's going to be like a little cushiony cloud, and you're going to be bumping up and down and about, and it's going to be absolutely fine. That is why the 26-inch mountain bike is the one to go, because it is comfortable. And then you could then start buying parts to then make it more comfortable, which we'll get onto more in a minute.
I don't know if this has a name. When you hop onto the pavement to cross through lights, I imagine you'll have a name for it down below in the comments. Probably something rude. I call it the curb hop sneaky cut.
Number 2 on my list is about making it stand out, or more in particular, they stand out because what you can do with them. Both terrible sentences. The point I'm trying to make is the fact that with these retro bikes, there's endless amounts of customization. And I know what you're going to say, you could do that with any bike. Yes, you can. But with the retro bikes, there's so many different ways you can go with it. In my personal opinion, and from my personal experience and some of the bikes I've done on this channel, there's 3 ways you can go with personalization. Number 1 is proper crusty. You can buy one of these retro bikes that is absolutely totaled. It's got rust on it, it's a bit crappy looking, and it's meh. Upgrading some of the parts, or not even just upgrading, fixing up some of the parts just so it rides nice and smooth. These steel bikes will last forever, even with those rusty kind of like horrible looking paint jobs that are left on them. So getting it kind of running again, having that crusty look, basically means you can leave it anywhere and it's not going to get nicked. Most likely, at least. Number 2 is just clean and like just that restoration look. Like a lot of people really kind of go down that line, not so much with me, I'm more with number 3, but the second one is like, yeah, it's about kind of like bringing that bike back to life. There's a lot of people that I follow that absolutely adore watching them bring those bikes back to life and kind of giving them the kind of uniqueness they had in the first place anyway, and just saving them. At the end of the day, that's what we like doing around here. We like to save old bikes, and I think that's a very important thing as well. The third one on that hand though, or on the other hand, is going complete mad with resto modding and different components and spending £500-600 on random bits that don't really make a lot of difference, apart from the fact that when you put it on the gram, people don't like it, and that's it. But jokes aside, that then starts making it more unique. And again, as much as this is not something you want to think about, if these bikes are commuting with, or if you are commuting with these bikes, you're likely to be leaving them places, you'll be locking them up. You don't want them to be stolen, and if they do get stolen, you also really want to be able to find them. It's one of the reasons why I actually, the down tube, I often, especially on a bike that I love and I'm going to ride a lot, I'll cover it in stickers. Reason being is the fact that if that bike does get stolen, it's going to take them such a long time to pull those stickers off. Sometimes they don't even bother. So when you hopefully do find it, you can identify it and you can prove that it's yours. But where do you get all the stickers from? I'm glad you asked, because if you head over to saveoldbikes.com, I have just dropped the biggest restock of all my stickers. But not only that, I've changed a load of them, updated a load of them, and I've brought out some new ones, including these ones that hopefully I'm putting on display right now, because they haven't arrived in my hands right this second, but by the time this video goes live, they will be in my hands and they will be on the website. The next one is parts, and I've recorded this section 3 times so far because I either ramble, don't really say anything useful, or just get completely carried away. Parts needs a whole video, and I've done a couple of specific part videos. For example, I did a tire video recently, I've done handlebar videos in the past, and I've done like kind of where to buy parts in the past. I'll link those videos down below. But what I will do soon is actually make a very specific video about kind of like uber cool parts, because there's 2 ways of looking when it comes to parts. I'm going to say parts a lot. Whether it be the super unique, handmade, very few of them made parts, whether it be chain rings, forks, I don't know, handlebars, whatever that might be, that you're going to spend a hell of a lot of money on, or maybe even some boutique parts, you know, pull components. Like, I've never had any pull components, I probably never will, because they're crazy expensive and I break everything that I own. But there's a real slippery slope there that you can go down, and I want to talk about that stuff in a lot more detail in another video. But the other thing is the fact that, like, when it comes to these retro bikes, you can keep them going on forever and ever and ever and ever. I have a specialized Hardrock outside that is 1993, 95, something like that, and has a derailleur on it from 2 years ago, and it works perfectly. A lot of that tech hasn't changed enough that like it's going to make retro bikes kind of non-existent. The standards of parts and kind of sizes are very, very similar now to they were in the early 90s, late 80s, maybe in some of the parts in the 70s. So it's those kind of bikes, you can still get stuff for them and they are generally going to work. Sometimes you need to shoehorn it in there a little bit, but you can get it to work. But the main 2-3 things that I want to mention on parts that are important to the story today, which is why you should be buying a 26-inch mountain bike for your next commuter, is the handlebars. There's so many different like kind of trekking, bike packing handlebars out there that are like crazy, crazy, crazy comfortable and are perfect for your commute. The tires, again, I've done a video on this recently. I'll link it above or below. And there's lots of different tires out there you can get, so you get the right one for your terrain, your commute, your comfort needs. And then I always go for the saddle. The saddle is something you can get that's so unique to you. Yes, you can do that on any bike itself, but it's something you need to look about. Look about, think about. The rambles, the rambling of a lunatic who has too many bikes and too many parts. I'm gonna make a bike, I'm gonna make a video just about parts. I'm gonna write it all down. I'm gonna make a nice list of all the things we need to talk about, and I'll cycle back about parts. Cycle back, pun. And I suppose the very last thing that I need to say about retro bikes in particular is they last forever. And I kind of touched on it then, like you can always upgrade parts, you can change things. Steel frames are pretty indestructible, especially if you find one that's not got too much crust on it, not too much rust. It's gonna be there for a long time and you're gonna love it. And yeah, buy a 26-inch mountain bike. And if you get stuck, those people I mentioned at the beginning, go watch Gary's Projects, Toasty Rides, Monkey Shred, Wavy Wheels, or Wheelies, sorry, Old Shovel. Spin That has some retro bike videos. There's tons of people out there. My brain's really struggling with just the ones I've mentioned right now. If you've got your channel that you customize your bikes on, put it in the comments below. If you know someone else that I haven't mentioned, put their names in the comments below. Let's start watching each other's videos. Let's find more videos about modern bikes and customizing them. Retro bikes.
So do yourself a favour, head onto Facebook Marketplace, pick yourself up a real cheap mountain bike, head online, spend £500-600 on bougie parts because the internet told you to, and call yourself a retro biker.
Let's not make that the moral of the story here. Let's just consider this part 1, to be continued.
If you'd like more content like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see more videos and you can't wait till next week, that one's a particularly good one.